In the last video, we took the heads off the matchless. In this one, we're going to attempt to free the pistons, which, yes, are stuck. And stuck at near enough top dead center at that. This begins with a lot of lubrication around the pistons and leaving the creeping oil to sit there and hopefully do its thing in advance of taking off the timing cover so we can gain access to the end of the crankshaft so we can, well, crank on that shaft. I started the endeavor to remove the timing case cover in the traditional way. I made a little outline of the timing case cover and punched some holes in it where there should be screws. Of course, the thing about old timing chest screws on old British bikes is that they're little slotty jobs. And the thing about little slotted screws is that if you use a flathead screwdriver that's a little too small, you will probably wind up chewing them off. Also, old British screws, not exactly well known for their constitutions. To be perfectly fair to AMC, pretty much all the screws came out quite easily, with only the tiniest bit of persuasion, except one. One little booger was, well, boogered. Presumably the last guy got there with a tiny little undersized screw head and chewed it right up. So this drove me to consider more drastic measures. I began with what I think is a reasonable measure, the impact driver. Tap, tap, tap. No, we're not getting anywhere. The problem is that this particular bolt had the two wings chewed away in such a way that your average flathead screwdriver simply could not get a bite on it. They spun and lifted like Phillips heads. God, I hate Phillips heads. Rant for another time. Anyway. The impact driver got a few tries, and then we gave up with that. We had to consider something more drastic.
So now I'm going to do the drill of shame and put these all back in here until such time as I figure out how to deal with this one. So.
The next level of escalation would be a little trick I picked up down at the Roundhouse where I volunteer on weekends. Yeah, take a drill, especially a reverse drill, and try spinning it backwards. I'm holding it in some vice grips to try and gain purchase, and it's still not clinging. It's at this point that I begin to think I'm not gonna get this thing out by hand. We're gonna have to introduce more aggression to it, which means more power. Which is exactly what I didn't want to do. Chiefly because power tools means the potential of breaking something bigger, something more important, like the whole timing cover, or God knows what else I could get into. But desperate times call for desperate measures, so out comes the drill motor. I had a go at drilling out a hole in the screw and then running the extractor kit, but this didn't work right away, even with all of the penetrating oil that I'd been constantly trying to get soaked into this thing. This bugger of a screw is still stuck. So it's time to stop playing around. Yeah, I know, that's a big flame and kind of a lot of heat by this casting, but If you want to free up a screw, well, it can't be tight if it's a liquid. Unfortunately, I don't have enough heat for that, so we're just going to have to settle by trying to heat cycle it off. The problem is that this itself did not work. I came back at it later after a couple of heat cycles. Get it up, get it good and toasty, too hot to touch. Couldn't quite get it glowing, but, you know, we're only using propane. And then you pound in the extractor, do what you can to try and shift it, and still nothing. Little bugger remained absolutely stuck. At this point, I'm reaching a level of, frankly, frustration that I'm not really sure how to overcome, or at least I wasn't at the time sure how to overcome. So I quit.